particular battle here starts out on the 3rd and 4th of July, and we're running 2-day turns here, whereas the AVD game, which we'll look at in a second, it is running on a basically a weekly 7-day cycle by the looks of it, right? 7-day cycle. So very different timescales, and it also it starts July 10th, but then runs all the way through to September 11th, whereas this game ends on the 26th of July. So whilst both games are about a specific battle, they cater for different time periods and clearly have very, very different mechanics, but we'll get into a little bit of that in a minute. So we've got our time tracker across the bottom here. Soviet setup, they move first. There are some special rules for the first turn of the game here, just as there are in the first turn of the game of a victory denied. You can see where the victory hexes are, and they're not all worth the same amount. So Smolensk is worth 25, Vyazama is worth 15. Get to Moscow, you win. There's a hex here that represents the entrance to Moscow. 20 VPs here, 20 here, and some 5s and 10s around the place. So the cool thing about this game is you have untried units. So each unit that comes on as a reinforcement, we put them on the board as a, and that's a great one. This is a 0-10, you can't read that, but it's a 0-10. But the units come on the board upside down, and they have a question mark and their movement rating on one side, and then when they come into contact and actually fight, that's when we flip them over and we find out whether they're a 4, a 10, a 7, or a 0, or whatever the case may be. So that adds a lot of tension and also a lot of replay value to the game. We don't have that mechanic here with, or artifice here with the Germans. The Germans come on the board, we've got Guderian's forces and Hoth's forces, and they come on and they are what they are, and you know the strengths, and it's a step-based loss system. You know, zones of control. Once you're in a zone of control, you fight until you die, or you kill the unit and move forward and go from there. The Germans get 2 moves a turn versus 1 turn for the Russians. All pretty straightforward kind of stuff. Interesting thing about the Russians is they have to have be in range of a leader, and that leader needs to be in supply, and the units need to be in supply to really do much of anything of value. So the nice way or prop to make the Soviet units clump together and be closer and have a greater concentration of forces, representing the weakness of the command systems at the time for the Soviets. So that's a very nice mechanic, whereas the Germans have no leader units at all, and in fact, you know, all units can move each turn, and as long as they're in supply, which we count back to the western edge of the board, we're in good shape. Russians do get one advantage, they get to move by rail. So a few little things, there's some supers and stuff, and that gets to interdict supply or movement, and we'll look at that as we go through the game. I'll do turn by turns and stuff like that. So let's move the camera if we can, somewhat carefully, but not terribly carefully, because that just wouldn't be me. And pop, there it goes. And there you have live camera disasters. All right. Now with AVD, a victory denied. As I mentioned, we've got a different time scale. You can't see it, but down here there's a different time scale. And we have the Minsk pocket here. We have the initial setup where the forces are already on the board and actually not that far from Smolensk, which is right here. And you can see these different chits on the board. They all have values that victory points, and we don't know what they are. So, you know, similar mechanic to the other game, but we don't know what they are. Neither side does. And they are also come in 2 colors, and I'm guessing the gold ones are worth more than the gray ones. I didn't actually take a moment to look at them. Now, in the beginning of this game, we have the 3rd Panzer Group has a free attack. So it gets to have combat against all the units that basically that it's adjacent to. And then it gets, and this is a chit pull game, so we are going to be pulling chits from activation chits to activate formations or leaders or command centers. So this is the 20th Army here, and if he was in that bucket, then we would pull him, and he would get to move the units that are in his command radius. In the beginning of the game, Guderian gets to do his thing, and then the 2nd Panzer Army gets to do its thing, and then whatever else is in here, air, reinforcements, supply, Russian units, or indeed another 2nd Panzer or 3rd Panzer formation chit, we would get to pull those as well. So that's kind of cool. This is very much the same as Victory Lost. So if you've played that game, you will understand the mechanics of this game. There are, however, some significant differences with command areas and command and control, and the way reinforcements are done, and the way that we leverage things like Stukas, and then also the way we have some variable reinforcements that come in here as well. So the turn track, which you can't see, delineates the number of command points that each side gets each turn, and it's the classic. I think Soviets have 3 all the way through. The Germans kind of vacillate. They go 4-3-2, then back up near the end to 5. But they also suffer from these out of supply issues, which we'll talk about later on. So, same battle, similar scale, different time scale, similar combat mechanics. There are some unique things about the way rivers are treated and advances after combat and moving across rivers that are unique to the Victory Lost system, but nevertheless, interesting stuff. So, what we're going to do is play both of these games side by side. I'll play one turn on one system, one turn on another system, take a couple happy snaps, make some notes, throw a video up, and we'll see how we feel about each one as we play through. I will declare my bias right now. I was not a fan of A Victory Lost, for all the reasons that I think everyone else has been had some issues with the game. So we're going to do this game. Let's wrap that up here. I'll pop this up for you, and we'll do a side-by-side playthrough of Panzer Group Guderian, or Group Guderian, and a Victory Denied, the Battle of Smolensk in July 1941. So I hope you enjoy it, and please pop comments and thoughts up on what you'd like to see, whether you prefer more map, I guess, images with annotations on them, or whether you prefer video, or whatever the case may be. As long as I get enough feedback, it's like one guy nagging about something. Don't be that guy. All right.